Ever feel like you're just drowning in expectations? Society pulling you one way, maybe family another, and you're just trying to find, well, you in the middle of all that noise.
Oh, absolutely. It's exhausting, right?
Totally. And exactly why we do this deep dive. We try to cut through some of that clutter, give you a bit of a shortcut to some clarity, maybe some wisdom you can actually use. So today we're taking a deep dive into the insights from Jen Hatmaker's book, Fierce, Free, and Full of Fire, which, wow, what a title.
It really grabs you, doesn't it?
It does, and our source for this is a really solid, detailed summary of the book. So we're boiling down the core ideas, the practical stuff, into something impactful. Our mission, really, is to unpack what Hatmaker's saying about authenticity, courage, self-love, and pull out the key things that might help you, listening right now, live with a bit more boldness, maybe some more, unapologetic joy day to day.
Yeah, Hatmaker's message is such a rallying cry. She has this way, very candid, witty, but also really wise, of challenging us to, well, reclaim our voices, step into our power. She's a bestseller speaker, advocate, known for being real, weaving in humor, and she touches on social justice, faith, family. But it all comes back to personal growth, community, and just being your true self. It feels, I don't know, grounded, but also really empowering.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Hatmaker kicks things off with this big idea, embracing authenticity. We hear that word a lot, authenticity. What does she really mean by it? Why is it so crucial?
Right. For her, it's not just like a no bonus. It's essential for a life that feels meaningful, fulfilling. It's the bedrock of integrity, happiness, basically your well-being. And what's interesting is how she points out all the things that push us away from it. The media, cultural norms, family expectations, what our friends think.
Yeah, those pressures are everywhere.
Exactly. And they can make us try to fit into molds that just aren't us. And that leads to feeling disconnected, maybe inadequate, or just vaguely unhappy.
That quiet unhappiness, yeah. I think a lot of people feel that.
She talks about how not dealing with this, not being authentic, can slowly just erode your joy, or even show up physically, like stress.
Okay, so it's not just feeling bad. It can have real consequences. But here's the key part, right? She doesn't just diagnose the problem. She actually gives us things to do. It's not just be yourself.
No, definitely not. She gets practical. One of the first steps is self-reflection, like really honest evaluation, taking time to figure out your actual values, interests, beliefs, what resonates with you, not what you've been told should.
Separating your stuff from everyone else's stuff.
Precisely. And then boundaries, huge emphasis on boundaries.
We hear about boundaries a lot, too. What's her angle?
She ties it directly to self-love. Saying no isn't just setting a limit. It's like a profound act of protecting yourself, reclaiming your power. She even talks about how learning to say no helps you find your sacred yes.
Oh, I like that. Sacred yes.
Yeah. And finally, self-expression. Finding ways to let your inner self out. Could be creativity, hobbies, even just how you communicate. Letting that true personality shine.
So it's like practice makes, well, not perfect, but more authentic. By doing these things, we get more comfortable, more confident in who we are.
Exactly. And that sets you up for a life that feels more genuine, more satisfying, just richer, really.
Okay, powerful start. So once we're working on being authentic, knowing who we are, where does she take us next? What builds on that foundation?
Well, logically, the next big piece is valuing that authentic self. How do you actually feel worthy in a world that's constantly sending messages that you're, not quite enough?
Ah, the self-worth piece. Crucial.
Absolutely crucial. Her core message here is that true self-worth has to come from within. It can't depend on external validation, what others think, your job title, how many likes you get.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, totally. But she really pushes us to reject those societal yardsticks that tell us how we should see ourselves. She argues that constantly seeking approval from outside just leads to a fragmented, kind of inauthentic life. Your worth, she says, needs to come from this deep internal conviction of your own value just because you exist.
That internal conviction, that can feel elusive, especially when, criticism still stings or praise feels good. So how do we actually build that internal sense of worth? What are the tools?
Yeah, she provides several practical exercises. Daily affirmations are a big one.
Okay, like looking in the mirror and saying, I am awesome. Does that really work?
Well, maybe not exactly like that, but the principle holds. Starting the day with positive statements about your strengths, your value. Things like, I am worthy of love, my contribution matters, I am enough. It sounds simple, maybe even a bit
Easy.
Yeah, maybe a bit cheesy to some. But the idea is to actively counter the negative self-talk. She also strongly recommends mindfulness practices.
Like meditation.
Could be meditation or just quiet reflection. The goal is self-acceptance, becoming aware of your thoughts without judgment and starting to separate your core identity from all the labels society throws at you.
Okay, detaching from the labels. Makes sense.
Journaling is another tool she highlights. Writing down your thoughts, feelings, experiences. It helps clarify who you are, like having an ongoing conversation with yourself, and boundaries again.
Back to boundaries. They seem key.
They really are. Setting limits is framed as a direct expression of self-worth. It says, my time, my energy, my well-being matter. It creates healthier relationships too. But look, she's clear this is a journey. It takes patience, consistency, and real willingness to face those limiting beliefs head on.
Right. It's not a one-time fix. It's ongoing work. Okay, so we've got authenticity, self-worth. What about connection? How do relationships fit into this fierce and free life?
Ah, yes, relationships. It's the natural next step, really. Once you're more grounded in who you are and value yourself, you're in a much better position to build healthy connections with others. She really emphasizes the value of forging and maintaining these meaningful connections. We're social creatures, right? We need interaction, support, validation, understanding, belonging. That's where community comes in.
So how do we build healthy connections? According to Hatmaker, what are the guidelines?
Well, first, unsurprisingly, authenticity.
Yeah.
Being genuine in your interactions, letting people see the real you fosters deeper, more honest bonds. Seems obvious, but it's easy to put on masks.
True. What else?
Active listening and empathy. Really being present for people, not just waiting for your turn to talk, but trying to understand their perspective. This creates that reciprocal support where everyone feels heard.
The deep listening. It's powerful.
It really is. And third, boundary setting. Again, but here it's about ensuring relationships are balanced, reciprocal, that they energize you, not drain you.
Protecting your energy within relationships.
Exactly. And part of that is also identifying and sometimes severing ties with toxic relationships. Those ones marked by manipulation, control, constant negativity, disrespect. They undermine the authentic self you're trying to cultivate. It's self-protection.
That can be incredibly hard, severing ties, but necessary sometimes for your own health. Okay, so we've got the inner world, relationships. What about purpose, passion? Where does that fit?
That's the next big area. It feels like a natural flow, doesn't it? Once you're more solid internally and in your connections, you can start looking outward towards what really lights you up. This raises that big question. How do we find our true calling, our passion?
Yeah, the passion question. It can feel daunting.
Hatmaker argues that recognizing and honoring your personal passions and dreams is, well, pivotal for a vibrant, purposeful life. She really believes that our best work, our most fulfilling contributions, come when we're operating from that place of authenticity and passion, even if society says it's impractical or silly.
So how do we even find that passion if we're feeling lost?
She suggests starting with honest self-assessment. Again, things like journaling or meditating can help. Asking yourself, what activities genuinely bring me joy? What causes make my heart beat faster? What was I naturally drawn to as a kid? It's about tuning out the shoulds and tuning into your own internal compass.
Listening to that inner voice. And once you have an idea,
Then it's about weaving it into your life, setting clear, achievable goals. Maybe taking a class, dedicating specific time each week, finding a mentor, joining a community.
small steps.
Exactly. Small, manageable steps. She's also very realistic about balance. It's not usually about quitting your day job tomorrow. It's about finding ways to integrate these passions alongside your existing responsibilities. Family, work, self-care without burning out. A flexible approach.
And the impact of doing that. It's not just personal, is it?
Not at all. When people pursue what they love, they just bring more energy, more creativity, more positivity into everything they do. It's contagious.
Yeah, you can feel that energy from someone who's lit up about something.
Right. It inspires others, fosters support, innovation. It shows how individual fulfillment can actually ripple outwards and create positive change on a larger scale.
Okay, but let's be real. Trying to live authentically, pursue passions, it's not always easy. There are going to be bumps, fear, obstacles. How does Hatmaker address those?
Oh, she definitely addresses them. She acknowledges that fears like self-doubt, fear of rejection, fear of failure, they're universal. They're not a sign you're weak. They're just part of being human and pushing your boundaries.
So fear isn't the enemy, necessarily.
She helps reframe it. Fear isn't a stop sign. It's often a signal that you're right on the edge of growth, doing something meaningful. And she offers techniques to build courage and resilience to move through it.
Okay. What kind of techniques?
A big one is self-compassion. Treating yourself with kindness, especially when you mess up or feel scared, like you treat a good friend. No beating yourself up.
Easier said than done, but so important.
Absolutely. Also, self-reflection and mindfulness again, to become aware of those self-limiting beliefs that fuel the fear. Identifying them is the first step to dismantling them. Setting small, attainable goals is another key strategy she mentions.
Breaking it down again.
Yep. Makes big, scary things feel less daunting. You build confidence with each little win. And finally, leaning on your community. Supportive relationships are like a buffer against setbacks. People who cheer you on, listen without judgment, remind you of your strength when you forget.
Having that support system seems crucial for resilience. And I know Hatmaker uses stories, right, to make these ideas concrete.
Yes, definitely. She's very open about her own struggles, like battling self-doubt when writing her first book. It makes it relatable. Even successful people face this stuff.
That helps normalize it.
Totally. And she shares stories of others navigating big life changes or health crises. There's one powerful example of a woman with a serious health diagnosis who, instead of giving in to fear, used therapy, her support network, and small health goals to manage it. And she didn't just cope, she actually emerged stronger, more empowered, with a new sense of purpose.
Wow. So resilience isn't just bouncing back, it can actually be transformative.
Exactly. It can lead to profound personal growth, often in unexpected ways.
Okay, so we've journeyed through authenticity, self-worth, connection, passion, resilience. It feels like the culmination of all this is really stepping into your power, right? Owning your influence.
That's precisely where she leads us. It's about asserting your personal agency, recognizing that everyone has unique power and influence, no matter their background or circumstances.
Everyone has power. How does she frame that?
It's about tapping into your inner strength, believing you can affect change in your own life and maybe in the world around you. A key part of this is self-advocacy.
Standing up for yourself.
Yes, taking confident, deliberate steps toward your vision. This means setting clear boundaries, yes, but also actively standing up for your needs and rights, communicating your goals effectively. She gives practical tips like writing goals down, reviewing them, finding mentors, building alliances, practicing being assertive in small ways every day.
Making your voice heard, respectfully but firmly.
Exactly.
And it feels like this isn't just about personal gain, is it? There's a bigger impact she talks about.
That's right. It connects back to that ripple effect. She shares stories of people from grassroots activists to leaders who stepped into their power and made real contributions, creating positive change for others.
So owning your power fuels social impact.
Yes. She emphasizes that true empowerment isn't just about advocating for yourself, but also about lifting others up, amplifying voices that are often marginalized. It's using your fierce, free self to contribute to a better, more just world.
That's a really inspiring way to frame personal power. Okay, so we've covered all these incredible concepts, but how do we keep it going? Let's unpack this final section. Sustaining this fierce and free life. Because it's one thing to get inspired, another to live it day in, day out.
Right, sustainability is key. This isn't a project with an end date. She brings it all together by quickly touching on those core principles, again, authenticity, worth, connection, passion, resilience, power, and then offers long-term strategies for continual growth.
Okay, what are those strategies?
First, continuous self-reflection and adjustment, making it a regular habit to check in. Am I living in line with my values? What needs tweaking? Life changes, so we need to adapt.
Staying conscious, staying flexible.
Exactly. Second, nurturing your support system. Actively investing time and energy in those uplifting relationships that fuel your resilience and give you that sense of belonging. Don't let them wither.
Prioritizing connection. Got it.
Third, cultivating new skills and knowledge. Keep learning. Workshops, books, hobbies. It keeps you dynamic, adaptable, engaged with the world. Fourth, setting and reevaluating goals. Periodically check if your goals still fit, if they're still relevant. Celebrate milestones, then set new ones. Keep evolving.
Keeps things fresh, keeps you moving forward.
Right. Fifth, practicing gratitude and mindfulness. Things like meditation or journaling about what you're thankful for. It grounds you in the present, helps maintain perspective and optimism, especially when things are tough.
Gratitude is powerful.
It really is. And finally, embracing vulnerability, being willing to share your journey, the struggles and the triumphs with trusted people. It deepens connections and often leads to surprising personal insights. It's not weakness, it's courage. So Hatmaker's vision for a fierce and free future isn't some grand, unattainable state. It's more like a daily commitment, a commitment to live truthfully, connect deeply, pursue passion, build resilience, understanding that your unique path is absolutely worth pursuing relentlessly. It creates that fertile ground for ongoing growth and that unapologetic joy we talked about.
Wow. That's quite a journey we've unpacked from Jen Hatmaker's fierce, free, and full of fire.
Yeah.
From authenticity and self-worth to resilience and owning your power and finally sustaining it all. Incredible insights. It really hammers home that the power to live that life full of fire, it's already inside you.
It really is.
Yeah.
And if you think about the big picture, what we've explored today is basically a roadmap, a guide to living more authentically, more powerfully. So maybe the question for you listening is, what's one small, fierce step you could take today? Just one thing to start embracing your authentic self, to invite in a little more of that unapologetic joy.
That's a great question to sit with. Take that thought with you. Explore these ideas in your own life. See what resonates, what challenges you, and start discovering that fierce, free person you were always meant to be.